Welcome, everybody. It's the BetwayBeat, brought to you by SoccerBeat, and it's Coach Farouk Khan with myself, Peter du Toit. And this is a massive week, a massive 10 days for Kaizer Chiefs in particular. They got Orlando Pirates one Saturday after the other. This Saturday, we've got the Derby, and the next Saturday, we have the Nedbank Final Derby. These 10 days, Farouk, and for Kaizer Chiefs fans out there, and for Kaizer Chiefs, the club, are probably a make or break for this season. Not probably, it's definitely make or break. If they lose both games, it's going to be a shocking season for Chiefs, the fans, and obviously Coach Nabi. If they win the Nedbank and lose this derby, probably not the end of the world. If they win both games, it's a big turnaround for the season and gives them a great platform and lift for next season. But in this show, Farouk, I want you, the Kaizer Chiefs coach, I mean, you've been on that bench. I'm going to give you a lot of data that we've got from our data analytics guys. And to your fans out there, I'm going to give you the data as well. And what I'm going to ask Farouk, with this data, by the way, which is overwhelmingly in favor of Orlando Pirates, the data says Pirates will win this game. Taking that overwhelming data, I'm going to ask you as the coach, with that data in front of you, which I'm sure Nabi's sitting with the same data, how do you sit next to Nabi and as a coach say, despite all this data, this is how Chiefs can win this game? That's what the fans want to know. It's what the fans believe can happen. But the question is how and why and whereabouts on this field can they win it? And at the end of this, interesting, I'll go through with you guys as well. We did a survey amongst Kaizer Chiefs fans about who they thought to blame for this season. Is it the coach? Is it the management? Is it the players? Is it all of the above? So very interesting what will happen there. But let's jump straight in, Farouk. Where, how, and why do you think Chiefs can beat Pirates on the field? Before I go into the data, where on this field, where on this pitch are the weaknesses that Chiefs can exploit? Before we go into the data.
The first thing, Peter, is as a technical staff, we need to ensure that we get the players to become mentally relaxed and mentally, psychologically strong, because that's the biggest challenge. After having lost to Marumo Gallant, it's a huge setback for Kaizer Chiefs. You know, with the intention of getting all 12 with the last 4, they only left with 3. And out of the 3, they're not easy opponents. You've got Orlando Pirates. You've got, I think you have Orlando Pirates. You've got Skupune, I think it is. And who's the third one? Polokwane, is it Polokwane? So those are 3.
But you've got the net, and in between you've got the Nedbank final.
And the Nedbank. So those are not 3 easy ones. But more so, the fact that you've got 2 games back-to-back for the fans, it's a feast. But for you as a technical team now, you can't afford to even drop a point. A draw wouldn't be good enough for Chiefs and for Orlando Pirates, because remember now, Peter, they're playing catch-up to Sundowns. They still believe that if Sundowns drop the baton, they're within 3 points if they win the next 2 games. So mathematically, everything to play for. So what it does to both sets of players is it becomes a mental game now. So you've got to get into the heads of your players and make them believe, irrespective of the stats. And we're going to discuss the stats, Peter. But more so, in the absence of the stats, both teams have what it takes to win these 2 games. Now, your question was, if I'm sitting on the bench of Chiefs...
Let me just stop you for a second. I think that's an absolutely fantastic point. And I think it gives, that point you just made, gives the Kaizer Chiefs fans hope that regardless of the stats, which are overwhelmingly in Pirates' favor, the mere fact that if you get Chiefs' mind right for this game, emotionally and mentally prepared, they can win this game, because it's 2 one-off games. It's not a whole season. You've got to make them win.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody wrote Chiefs off with the semi-final against Mamelodi Sundowns. I mean, if you and I were betting men, I think we'd have put our money on Sundowns to walk this one.
Without a doubt.
Chiefs proved beyond a doubt that they have the fighting spirit and they have the never say die attitude, which is great to have, to win the game. But in saying that, they also had certain factors that was in favor of them. So this game, similarly, is within their reach if only they play to their strengths. I think you and I discussed it in the last match, that sometimes it's okay not to play the most attractive football, but it's important for you to ensure you get the result. And I think this is going to be the case. If Chiefs try to match Orlando Pirates pound for pound in possession, out of possession, and when they regain those 4 moments in the game, you know, when you have possession, you lose possession, a negative transition, positive transition, if they can ensure that they dominate those 4 moments, they have a chance. Now, it's easier said than done because Orlando Pirates have shown this season that they're quite a formidable team. And on any given day, they have the quality. Just looking at the attacking players, they have so much quality. You've got Rele, you've got Nkota who's come to the party.
We'll come back to that, Farouk.
They've got so much quality.
We'll come back to that. But where on the pitch, my first question, let's go back to it. Where on the pitch, coach, where on the pitch do you feel that Chiefs can exploit a weakness in Pirates?
Pirates are very vulnerable on the wings, Peter, because they push numbers up. I mean, they have players like Otto, who's constantly bombing down the left-hand side, and you have Van Rooyen constantly bombing down. And, kudos to the coach, because he's using his players to their strengths. Whenever they bomb down the flanks, they create those chances for the likes of Rele, for the likes of Nkota, for Mabasa to capitalize on. And then they have a strong midfield where they have players, both Makola as well as Maswanganyi. They also have Mbata, who can make the team tick. But in saying that, they're also vulnerable when their wing-backs attack, because they play with 3 players sitting, and they play with 2 wing-backs that constantly bomb down the wings. They got Mbokazi, who plays more as an old-fashioned sweeper, and they've got Koki and Sibisi playing more as their main markers. What happens at times is because they play with such a compact unit moving forward, trying to keep the ball for long periods and then trying to expose the opposition's flanks, and they can also play on the counter very effectively, they sometimes leave spaces behind. And this is where I think Kaizer Chiefs, with their speed, of Lilepo, of Dupree, of Mmodi, they can capitalize on that space if they get the service from the likes of Mark, from the likes of Tele, to be able to exploit the space behind, because Pirates are vulnerable on the flanks. And this is where I think Chiefs need to make use, on condition that they convert those chances. We spoke about it the other day as well, Peter. Their conversion rate hasn't been the best.
That's a good point. So let's look at that. So I agree with you, and I think the fans will say as well, that's definitely an area behind Hotto, behind Van Rooyen, or Shandu, whoever plays there. That is the space. Although the back 3, if they spread out a little bit, could cover that. But the problem, Farouk, and I'll throw this first stat at you, Chiefs, incidentally, they have more shots at goal than any other team in the league. So that's a plus. But their problem is they've had 14.85 shots per game. I mean, 15 shots a game. That's what they're averaging. It's phenomenal. So, but the trouble is only 6% of those shots, 6% of the shots are conversions. So
it's not a great stat for them, Peter. I mean, it's lots of smoke, no fire. I mean, they've been erratic in front of goal, with the exception of maybe Dubai at times, making sure that he converts those chances. But overall, you can't really single out one player that has been consistent in front of goal. If their highest goal scorer is Dubai on 5 and the rest on 4 and 2, it says a story about the finishing of Kaizer Chiefs.
So, Farouk, again, you're the coach. I'm coming to you now and I'm saying, fine, you've picked out those areas behind there. That means wingers have got to get into that area because they're behind the fullbacks. They've got to then pull the ball back or put crosses in. The trouble with the 6% conversion rate says 2 things to me. 1, they can't finish chances. And number 2, they're probably shooting from all over the place when it's not necessary to shoot, that you should actually get the ball in a better position. So how do you take those areas from behind there and turn them into goals? Who do you play up front? Crosses, Dupree's not going to get to. Dube himself is not the tallest player. Do you bring somebody like Morris in for this derby?
Well, Morris could be a good inclusion because Dubai is out. I mean, he's been suspended, and that's also a pity because, he's one that you can turn to. But I think more so, Peter, they don't get enough numbers into the box. If you look at the fact that whenever they attack, because of the speed of their attack, they sometimes leave players behind. So the likes of your midfield, your Mark, your Tele, Sirino need to get into that scoring zone. Like Mark Williams used to speak about the kitchen, they're not getting enough players into the kitchen. And I think that is one of the problems. The other problem is the quality of crosses. Lilepo can give you quality from wide positions. I also think Mmodi can give you quality from wide positions. Obviously, now it's up to the technical staff to ensure that they get synergy between the wing attackers and numbers into the box. You need to get players to make those runs. I think sometimes the timing of the runs is not as good as it should be because you get
Yeah.
Getting numbers into the box means nothing, Peter. If you don't have a player going towards the near post with the right timing and right pace, you don't have somebody on the far post, you don't have somebody on the penalty spot, or you don't have somebody as a garbage collector, meaning when everybody else misses it, he still keeps it alive. If you don't have those four key positions when the ball is crossed, your conversion rate will be poor. And I think if you look at the footage, Chiefs players get into the box, but they always get into areas where they closely mark, or where they too early there, or don't get contact on the ball when the cross is on. When they have been doing that, they've been promising, but not obviously converting them simply because they're outnumbered. Most teams, when they play against Chiefs, they're not gonna risk having a defense that pushes up. They're gonna play with a defense that sits deep because of the speed that Chiefs have. And this is where I think, because of the problems that we've seen Orlando Pirates have with crosses into the box, this is where Chiefs can exploit. And I like the idea of Morris maybe being that player who can play as a 9 to use his aerial ability and try to convert some of those chances. Notwithstanding, Sirino coming late also has a scoring touch that can benefit them.
I agree with you totally, Farouk, about Morris playing ahead of Dupree. Talking about conversion rates, Farouk, fans out there, SoccerBeat fans out there, your conversion rate, please improve it. We want you to improve the conversion rate. You're on the show, please click the subscribe button. That's your conversion rate. Make it 1 in 1. We look forward to it. 50,000 target is the target, and 50,000 Rand prize coming your way. So please press that conversion button. Talking about Sirino, it's an interesting, I want to throw another interesting stat at you. And viewers out here, this is very, very interesting. So in league games only, the creators in this team, these numbers tell you a story. So if we look at minutes played, and we're looking at Sirino, Lilepo from Chiefs, they're the two biggest creators there. And we're looking at Tito, Nakota, and Mofokeng from Pirates. So on assists, Mofokeng and Sirino are the highest in creating assists in league games only, 5 assists each. And that's exceptionally good from Sirino's point of view. He's done it in 955 minutes, whereas Mofokeng has done it in 1,754 minutes. So 5 assists from Sirino in almost half the time that Mofokeng's done it. But listen, Mofokeng is outstanding at creating assists. But I think, Farouk, is that not, if Sirino's on form in this, if Sirino's on form, it increases the chance of Chief winning here. And surely, as the coach, you want to get him on the ball continuously in the right places. I see sometimes he comes deep. Wouldn't you, as the coach, push him actually possibly higher up and maybe have 2 defensive midfielders?
Well, definitely. I think he's more beneficial for me right up front, in behind the striker or strikers, depending on how the coach wants to play. But in saying that, if you look at Mofokeng and Sirino, Mofokeng has scored many more goals simply because his primary function would be to score goals and be more offensive-minded, whereas I think Chiefs are using Sirino as a playmaker. Now, you have a situation where you've got to ask the question, what does it do to Mart if you have 2 players that are basically there to be your playmakers? I would think to have a balance, you could play with, if you want to play Tele as a 6, it's fine by me, although I don't think he's your best 6. I think he's more of a creative player as well. And push Mart and Sirino more into the offense, because that gives you more chance of converting those chances we spoke about coming from crosses, because they often do that, Peter. If they play Solomons, they push him high. He's always looking to get in behind the defense. So I think from a technical point, Nabi has decided to use wing play, which is very, very wise, to get in behind the opposition's defense, which he's done, but they haven't converted it. So I would agree totally with the fact that in the derby, it's going to be a cagey affair. Nobody wants to lose it. I don't think we're going to witness a free-flowing open game. I don't think that's going to happen. I think even though Kaizer Chiefs haven't been playing well, when it comes to a derby, there's that mutual respect that these two teams have for each other. So therefore, they're going to trade carefully. But where I think the difference is Chiefs must not sit back, because if they sit back, Pirates will hurt them. They need to ensure that they push Sirino higher up the field. They need to ensure that they don't become erratic and just, move the ball into the channel and look to get Lilepo on it to make crosses in, because they're always going to be outnumbered, because the discipline that Pirates defense have, I mean, it's outstanding. They've just come now after playing against a strong opposition, Pyramids. They've gained so much momentum in that. Their defense is solid. It's not going to be a walk in the park. So if Chiefs want to get a result, they should take the game to Orlando Pirates.
So I'll show you. I'll tell you some. There's some awesome stats here about Pirates attacking versus Chiefs. So if you look at, I've just said to you assists that Sirino and Mofokeng are the two highest with 5 each. If you look at chances created, it is amazing. Mofokeng, yes, he's played almost double the amount of minutes. 52 chances created.
Sure.
In league games. It's an incredible return. The next highest is Sirino in half the games, 32 chances created. Then you get Tito, 26 chances, Nakota 20 and then Lilepo 11. But Sirino, in the same amount of minutes, has created 3 times the amount of chances as Lilepo, by the way. So without a doubt, the danger man for Pirates is Sirino. If they can stop him playing, you're going to stop. You're going to stop Chiefs playing. So I hope Chiefs have got a plan B. Another interesting stat, and this is where Tito is absolutely superb in the way he plays, and it causes a lot of problems. And I want to ask you how Pirates are going to handle this. Who's going to pick him up? Because final third entries, Tito, 129 final third entries.
Yeah,
that's in any standard league. That's a lot of. I mean, yes, he's not an out-and-out midfielder. He's like a 10, but he still does his work at the back, defending. But 129 final third entries compared to Mofokeng 98, and then it drops down to Sirino 94. The Lilepo is the one I'm shocked at. Only 40 final third entries, and I think could be the weakness in his game. That, I think, he's a winger.
Playing wide, it's not always easy for a winger to get into that final third unless he takes on the fullback and gets in those crosses. So it's not a very flattering statistic. I think he could do better. But I think generally there's a breakdown when Chiefs do build out of the back, which I think sometimes is a bit ambitious, to be quite fair. They don't have the real quality. Players like Lilepo don't get the service. Players that play up front don't necessarily get the service. Coming back to your question about Tito, Tito's always been that player that's very elusive. I had him for 6 or 7 years with me, and he's the type of player that you can't read from game to game. They could put a man mark on him. That would be the biggest mistake they make, because he enjoys playing with a man marker because he's so elusive. It's just one less that he's going to neutralize. I think they need to ensure that the service that Tito gets is limited, because when he gets the ball, Mofokeng and Kota, they know exactly what Tito is going to do. And he's got that defense-splitting passing ability. And also what he does is he just doesn't get involved with the build-up, Peter. He gets up involved with the build-up. He gets involved in the finishing as well. So it's from initiation, meaning when the move is initiated, he's involved in the initiation. So he'll sometimes drop deep. He'll fetch the ball and he'll start combining those passes. At times, he'll even slow it down to walking pace. We saw PSG, mind you, doing it last night, and nobody said, why is it slowing it down? Because at the time he slowed it down, it was necessary. But when there was gaps, he was able to accelerate the play. So I think Tito is a bit matured, and he plays a very mature game. So initiation, he's involved in the build-up. Participation, he's obviously a catalyst in that. And mind you, he can score some critical goals. So Chiefs had a huge task to stop him. And I think Chiefs, if they use Sirino similarly, then they have a similar player. So it's a case of the coaches maybe saying, Sirino, we're giving you a free road. We're giving you a free road.
I think you're right there. If I give you another stat here, through balls, and I mean through balls is what cuts through a defense. Tito, number 1, 14, followed by Sirino 6. It shows you how important Sirino is to Chiefs. And then Mofokeng 6 as well, only 2 from Lilepo, but obviously he's wide. So it's clear, Sirino is the man at Chiefs, and Tito is certainly the go-to man at Pirates. And both teams are going to have their work cut out to handle those two players, because if they're both on song, that's where the problems could start. And especially if Sirino's on song. And if you, as you say, you give him the free role and he starts causing problems for Pirates, that'll even create more space behind those two fullbacks, because they're trying to get tight on him with the centre backs or other midfielders, and that'll create space wider for players like Lilepo and so on. We're going to take a short break, Farouk. After the break, after ad, I want to give you some interesting stats from the last derby. Yeah. And you and the viewers have got to say about that.
How would you like to win a little something extra just for joining the best in the game? For a limited time, we are teaming up with Betway and giving all of you access to a SoccerBeat exclusive. If you join Betway using the sign-up code SoccerBeat now, you'll get 25 Rand extra bet. That's right. It's time to get way more out of every bet. Standard T's and C's apply.
Welcome back, everybody. It's BetwayBeat, Peter Toit, Farouk Khan, and SoccerBeat. And we're talking, how can Kaizer Chiefs counter Orlando Pirates in this Saturday's derby? And obviously, it'll have an effect on the Nedbank final as well. Overwhelming favourites, Orlando Pirates. The data all says is pointing Pirates' way. Coach of Kaizer Chiefs, former coach at Kaizer Chiefs, Farouk Khan, now acting the role as advisor in this program to Kaizer Chiefs. What he do has told you, attack the spaces behind the fullbacks and make certain that Sirino gets the ball in space, because he's the one who's going to create the damage, and play Morris up front because you've got to get balls in the box. So that all makes sense. But there's a couple of points here from the last derby. And if you remember the last derby, Tito's incredible penalty at the end. But Chiefs did well from a competitive point of view.
Yeah.
But if I show you this data, it says a lot. Now, they've got this thing called expected goals. And the stat expected goals that's used all over the world. In the last derby, Pirates created 1.79 expected goals compared to Chiefs' 0.21 expected goals, which is a huge gap, which basically says Pirates created way better chances than Chiefs created. So that's an issue. And Pirates had 12 shots at goal, but Chiefs were largely had kind of low quality chances, and Pirates kept them away from the dangerous areas. And the concern is that when we watch Chiefs, and we've done every single Chiefs game for a long time now, Farouk, what I haven't seen from this Chiefs team, and nor of you, and how would you change it, is that they don't seem to have the ability to, when they find problems in the game, to actually change the way they approach the game mid-game. In other words, it doesn't seem like a plan B. They just keep going at the same thing, and they miss chance or whatever. And the only thing that the coach seems to do is make substitutions, but it's the same hammering the hammer at the same plank, whereas instead of maybe taking a screwdriver to the plank, they don't seem to. What would you do because if we have the same thing again, there's got to be, how does he change it up?
Well, I think the important thing is that if you look at that particular game, Orlando Pirates dominated the midfield. You know, whether they play with Maswanganyi, Makoula, or Bata, and then they have Mofokeng and Kota, who dominated midfield. The two of them drop deep, and they probably leave Mahopa or Mabaso up front. So they overload the midfield with the likes of Otto and Van Rooyen White. So they have 6 players in the midfield. And Chiefs are always found wanting because they have less numbers. Also, what Pirates do well, Peter, is they control the tempo and they control the space. Now, those are 2 things that if you do that, then you control the game. Then you can vary your game accordingly. You know, sometimes when you win possession on the break, you can quickly, use the counter-attack and break forward with the speed of Mofokeng, with the speed of Nkota. Similarly, Kaizer Chiefs have Mmodi, they have Lilepo, that they can do the same with. But if you don't have the ball, you can't hurt the opposition. And I think if you look at that, you look at it from that standpoint, teams that dominate possession dominate games. And at present, Chiefs don't dominate possession in midfield. The turnover, and I mean, we've witnessed so many games, Peter, is to see them make 10 or 15 passes when there's no option to attack is not possible. Okay, so they're only good on playing on transition, where they use the speed of Lilepo, Dupree, etc., and that's where they've had some sort of joy. But they have never been a team that we know of in the past where, you know, Chiefs would dominate. I mean, when I was there with Ted with Machine, and prior to that, Chiefs was a team that dominated the possession. They had players, the Dr. Kumalos, the Tabumokis, the list is endless. And this is the engine room of a team. So I think that is where the problem lies with Chiefs being able to apply the game model. You know, the coach wants them to play out of the back, which wasn't the case at first when he got there. He played more on the front foot, got players, and it paid dividend. I think later on, he wanted to introduce the slow build-up, notwithstanding the fact that they were losing possession in the defensive third carelessly. So if I want to give him some sort of advice, I'm sure he's very knowledgeable, but just from an outside perspective, I would say look to dominate the midfield. Look to play, even if you play with 2 pivots, which you now sometimes do with Mart and you do it with Tele, but make sure you have a player like Sirino drifting in between the lines to come and assist, play your wide players a little bit tighter, make your fullbacks attack down the wings. So you have more of a concentration of players in the middle. I think with Lilepo and with Mmodi sometimes wide, we leave too much spaces in between, which against a team like Orlando Pirates, they will hurt you, Peter. I promise you, Tito will have a party. Those through passes you're talking about, he'll probably make a number of them in the match. The way to stop it is to play your wide players a little bit more invertedly and use your fullbacks to go. That would be my suggestion.
Farouk, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Besides the fact of getting Morris in at the end of crosses and getting Sirino free, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, guys. Bring those two wingers, invert them slightly, let your fullbacks go outside, because then you'll be attacking that space. And that if you look at Pirates against Pyramids, they struggled with crosses.
Yeah.
And they struggled with crosses that came in from left-footed players from the left-hand side and right-footed players from the right-hand side, not wingers right-footed players checking in and having a shot at goal. So if you have Cross and Solomon's, for example, getting those crosses in, where they'll come towards Morris, that's going to hurt Pirates more. So I think those are critical points that you made there that'll give Chiefs a chance of winning the game. I'm going to ask you a question, prediction from you're on the Chiefs bench. Can you snatch a 2-1, a 1-0?
Yes, I can snatch a 2-1 or a 1-0. It will be close. I need to ensure that I get those diagonal balls we spoke about. I need to ensure that we're very solid defensively, because it's not going to be as easy as, just giving a prediction. Pirates have a lot to gain. Since they've been knocked out, Peter, from the Champions League, they've got everything to play for. It's the Cup, it's the League. They want to ensure that they at least give Sundowns a run for their money going into the last couple of games. And if they don't succeed in winning the Nedbank Cup, it would have been a disaster, even though they have had so many promising. They were in line for League, Cup, and CAF. And if they don't get any of those, it will be a disastrous season. Similarly with Kaizer Chiefs. They need to at least lift one cup.
Correct. Then finally, we did a survey on social media, on TikTok and YouTube and X. And the question that was asked to, we got a huge response, is who's to blame for the problems Chiefs have had this season? Was it the coach? Is it the club? Is it the players? Or is it a combination? And it's quite interesting what came out here, Farouk.
Yeah.
But the highest number of people said they blamed everyone. They blamed the coach, the players, the management, everyone.
Yeah.
That was the highest number. Then the lowest was Nabi. Only 11% blamed Nabi on his own. After blaming everyone, second to blame were the players, third to blame was management, and funny enough, fourth to blame was Nabi. I'm quite surprised. I thought management would have come fourth, based on everyone being to blamed and then the players. But Nabi was lowest. But without a doubt, they're saying that when they're blaming everybody, what they're really saying is we're unhappy. Yeah. And Chiefs, Nabi, you can make those guys happy, your fans happy, if you beat Pirates on Saturday in the league and if you beat them again next week in the Nedbank Cup. And Coach Farouk, who sat on that bench when you've won trophies, has just said to you out there the way to beat Pirates on Saturday. So guys, let us know in the comment section what you think of Farouk's views. Give us your predictions of how the game will go. Pirates fans, I know you watch as well, and Sundowns fans, let's hear your voices as well. The Pirates team will, I'm talking about the SoccerBeat Pirates team, will have their own show on this as well. Look forward to the game on Saturday. Full house, I'm pretty certain. Can't wait, Farouk. We'll be back there with Seppo as well. Let's see if the coach follows your good advice. Take it out there, Farouk. Cheers, man.
Thanks, Peter.
All the best.
Nice one.
Enjoy the game, guys. See you on Saturday.